Biden has no scruples. He's a cold-blooded, nasty SOB, and he's been his entire damn life. He's contributed nothing to this country. He's a taker. He's been on the public dole, and he's made tens of millions of dollars, and so has his family. How do you get 2 mansions? How do you even get a classic Corvette when you're earning, beginning, it was like $87,000 a year. I think now it's $175,000 a year in the Senate, and even as a vice president. So how do you get to that point? Because you're a crook. That's how you get to that point. There is a horrendous, vile, really bloodless campaign being led by Biden-Blinken right now against the state of Israel and the Jews there. And there is an intense propaganda campaign taking place. I know it when I see it. And it's being led by Blinken. He goes to the Middle East. He trashes the Israelis. He actually said that the Israelis were dehumanized on October 7th, and we know they were, burned alive. Pregnant women having their stomachs cut open and the babies pulled out and executed. Decapitating people, the most horrendous things. About 50 of the hostages now have been murdered. Many of the women will come back pregnant. These are real monsters. These are real barbarians. And then for Anthony Blinken to say that the Israelis should not be dehumanizing the Palestinians is an attempt to create moral equivalency down. Rather than the Palestinians showing that they love life and the life of other people, you've got to degrade the Jews in Israel to the level of the barbarian, the Hamas murderers. This is being done by Anthony Blinken, who is a Marxist. Anthony Blinken, who John McCain, as I explained at length on my radio show the other day, and I hope you'll check it out. We've put it on our websites, and we've put it on all our social sites, called an extremely dangerous man who is threatening our own soldiers. You see what he's done. And he's also a special pleader for the Iranians, and it's my contention. We had this Iranian spy ring here. That's a fact. It's not a contention. But it was under the nose of Anthony Blinken. Anthony Blinken hired his best friend. His best friend's father was a Marxist and in support of Islamists and the PLO and Arafat. He literally hires this man, who has the same views as his father, to be our envoy to Iran to negotiate the nuclear deal. Iran is going to get nuclear weapons now because of Biden and Blinken. But this Iranian spy ring was in the envoy's office. He hired 3 individuals who were communicating directly with the foreign minister of Iran, what meetings they should go to, what language they should use. Did you guys know this? What public statements they should put out, whether they should meet with the Iraqis and the Israelis, and the foreign minister said, meet with the Iraqis, not the Israelis, and that's what they did. They're negotiating for us. This is worse than the Al-Hiss case. And Blinken had to know it. And even today, when Iran is behind the attacks on us, our American forces, and kills 3 of them, severely injures God knows how many, they haven't touched an inch of Iranian territory. They'll go after the Houthis, they'll go after Hamas, but they won't touch the Iranians. They funded the Iranians to the tune of $100 billion. They've rearmed the Iranians. On October 7th, when Israel was attacked, they immediately jumped to the defense of Iran, a special pleader saying there's no direct connection. But everybody knows the weapons are coming from Iran. The money's coming from Qatar and Iran. There's simply no doubt about it. And even now, when they talk about Iran, they don't talk about it in a negative way. They keep attacking Israel. They want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. If you understand this realignment issue, which Michael Duran and others have written about, we've covered here, they believe Iran needs a nuke, so it's comparable with Israel. The moral equivalency. So here you have a democracy, a civilized society, an enlightened Western-like society in Israel, and then you have a 7th century throwback society. Iran, which has taken over Iraq, which has taken over Yemen, which is taking over Lebanon through Hezbollah, which has taken over the Gaza Strip and other parts of the world. And this is insanity. And the one man who stands in the way of this is Netanyahu. The one man who is standing up in the Middle East, even in his own country, saying we're not going to put up with this, is Netanyahu. The one man who has the guts to say no to Blinken and Biden is Netanyahu. They're trying to topple him. It's a coup from outside of Israel. They're funding it. The other day, Blinken wanted to meet with the defense secretary equivalent without Netanyahu, a cabinet member. Netanyahu said, no, you don't get to do that. Anthony Blinken, who had his arms wrapped around Abbas, who was a terrorist, who funded the 1972 attack on the Israeli Olympians in Munich, and who said 2 days ago that should there be a Palestinian state, it will be sort of their rainbow coalition, if you will. It'll include Hamas, Islamic Jihad, the Muslim Brotherhood, and all the resistors. So he's telling you what he's going to do. And Blinken is using the State Department, he's using his travels, he's using now other Arab countries like the Saudis, the Qataris, he's using Europeans like Great Britain and so forth. They're all coming out two-state solution, and they're all trashing Netanyahu. And they have a big media campaign in America with the New York Times, with Thomas Friedman and others, self-haters I call them, with Joe Scarborough and MSNBC and CNN. On Capitol Hill, they now are calling this Netanyahu's war, because this is what the Marxists and the Islamists do. They create evil. This is an evil person. He's the devil. Destroy him. No, he's the guy that said no to two-state solution. No, we're going to defeat Hamas. No, we're going to demilitarize Gaza. No, this is never going to happen again. Now, we should be applauding this. But that's not what's happening. Furthermore, Biden puts his own skin in front of everything else, his political skin. That's why he's unleashed our government against Donald Trump and his party and seeks to literally imprison the man. Biden has no scruples. He's a cold-blooded, nasty SOB, and he's been his entire damn life. He contributed nothing to this country. He's a taker. He's been on the public dole, and he's made tens of millions of dollars, and so has his family. How do you get 2 mansions? How do you even get a classic Corvette when you're earning, beginning, it was like $87,000 a year. I think now it's $175,000 a year in the Senate, and even as a vice president. So how do you get to that point? Because you're a crook. That's how you get to that point. Now, all that said, Netanyahu's standing strong, and thank God, he is the Churchill of today. There's no question about it. In many ways, it's even worse. He is surrounded by these enemies. They have limited munitions. It's a tiny country with a small economy. They don't have the industrial base to build many of their own weapons. They have to rely on munitions from our country. So when people say, oh, we're going to give Israel another $14 billion, that's not how it works. That $14 billion or $3 billion or $17 billion you spend here in the United States, it's a line of credit that's on the Pentagon and Treasury Department's books. The money is spent in the United States. It's spent with our own corporations. These munitions are made with American citizens. It doesn't line the banks and the pockets of the Israelis. It doesn't work that way. Nothing leaves the United States. Besides, we have an administration that gave $100 billion directly and indirectly to Iran, to Hamas, to Hezbollah, to the PLO. I mean, they're funding the war against Israel. And then Israel, oh, okay, we need to defend ourselves. Well, we got to have offsets with the IRS. We got to do this. We got to do that. These are the people who are defending Christianity and Judaism, our historical sites. And they're the only ones. Nobody else is there fighting. Mark, we have troops there. Why do we have troops there? I don't even know. They're sitting ducks. They're being shot at. We have aircraft carriers that are now, intercepting missiles that are being fired at us. I don't understand what they're doing. Does anybody understand what they're doing there? I don't. We're going to show force. No, we're not.
Want to see more? Sign up for Levin TV.